to the Squeeze podcast. I'm Ashlea, the Orange Lady, here to give you the juice you need to build and sustain your career. And this is my sister, Bethany. And this is Opal. That is Bethany's Opal. She has a lot of nicknames, but
we'll see how long she lasts.
Yeah. So today's topic is something that both of us have dealt with. And I have some notes too, because I want to make sure that we go through this really meticulously and don't skip over anything. So the title of this topic is like Heartbreak and hashtags, balancing work and breakups. Ooh, let's take a pause. R.I.P. for those feelings.
And the ones we left behind.
That's right. So we want to talk about like the challenge of managing your emotions and feelings while like managing all of your professional responsibilities. Like a lot of emotional turmoil, but you still have a job that you have to like do. Let's just start with sharing a story of a breakup and how it impacted us at work.
Ooh, okay.
Are you starting?
I mean, where do I start? Unfortunately, this is something I feel like does take practice, and it's like, how many times am I going to go through this? But it just gets more exciting every single time.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
No, let's let you go first.
Okay.
And then I easily get off track on mine. So,
okay. Let's see. Quickly, I was in a long-term relationship for 7 years. I was living in Durham, and let's just say there was a little bit of drama with that breakup. You know, we'll just stay there. But I was devastated. She broke my heart. I was, I thought this was my person. And I also do at that time I was doing work that was also very like emotionally heavy and invested, because I was working with teenagers that were going to be also like first in their family to go to college. And, there's just a lot of emotions that come up in that, right? I am embarrassed to say that one day, like soon after the breakup, I had to leave work because I couldn't stop crying.
Embarrassed? I've done that a few times.
I am like, I get it. Gosh. Like, yeah, I left. I texted my colleague and was like, I left. So that's like how well I was doing at that point. I got better, but yeah, I mean, it was serious. So that's one of my situations. What was yours?
Mine was more recent, about 1.5 years ago now. So yeah. It was the same thing. We were together for 6 years. Fast forward to I'm devastated because we'll just leave the details inside. But yeah, anyway, devastated. Not what I saw coming. I had actually just gotten engaged 2 months before this came out. So, and I just started a new job as well. So I was like,
it was a lot.
I was like 7 months in, not like real close with my coworkers yet, but I am that one that like
the overshare.
That's me. And especially when I'm emotional. There's not a huge like filter that goes on this. There is now, let me tell you, there is now. But I lost my train of thought. But that is what made those relationships that were
they had to hear all your stories.
I mean, you say you were embarrassed to say that you had to leave work one time because you were crying.
Yeah.
This was so common for me because my boss kept telling me like, hey, you don't have to come in. You can work from home if you want. I understand. Which is really great, but me being me, I was like, no, like I can't always sit at home. And it got to where I would look at my coworker across the way from me And I would just give him that look and he'd be like, I've got this. Just go home. Like, I'll tell the team that you're at home. Like, he knew when I was just getting ready to, you know, be flooded with tears. So
I like talking about this. So let me rewind for a second. I made some content last year that was like, you know, you never know what someone is going through, like a colleague is going through. They could be going with like the death of a parent, a sick child, a relationship breakup. And a friend of mine was like, really? A breakup? And I was like, you have a privileged, charmed life that you have never had to maintain your professional situation while dealing with some of the biggest emotions that you've dealt with. And basically feel like you're acting all the time just to like try to get through. So I want to talk about this because I know we're not the only people that have had to deal with this. And this doesn't just go with a breakup. That's what we're talking about, but any big emotions and how you kind of navigate it with work. So I have a question for both of us to answer.
Okay.
With like emotional challenges and coping mechanisms. So what are the most significant emotional challenges you faced during that time, and how did they impact your work?
I mean, emotional challenge was just keeping it together.
Yeah.
Like daily, just keeping it together.
Yeah.
But I was also like, I found myself getting, what's the word I'm looking for? Resentful towards work because I had to show up.
Oh, interesting.
And that's obviously that's on me. But like that's how badly I needed to take time off and wasn't taking the time to myself.
Yeah, because we feel like if we have the flu, it's okay to take time off, but a breakup, like, we don't feel like we can give ourselves that space.
And can we also talk about how women really feel like we aren't allowed that in the workplace to have emotions at all?
Yeah.
So
period. Right?
yeah.
So for me, I tried to just like throw myself into work. It was like, okay, that is going to be the thing that like I can focus on to keep me grounded. Besides just like really leaning on friends, right? Like there's no way I don't think I could ever get through a breakup or any emotional trauma without the support of a community. But yeah, for me, it was just like, okay, I'm going to make sure that this work is awesome. I'm going to do the best. And that helped. Yeah.
Yeah. And that is typically what I would have done as well. Like what we're talking about for you was a while back. What we're talking about for me more recently, we had also just lost our grandma a year before that. And that is when I threw myself into work and didn't deal.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I don't think I definitely hadn't healed yet from Mimi passing.
Yeah.
And then you threw this on top of it. And this was just like my breaking point of like, I don't want to do anything and I'll be okay if I don't have a job. And then I'd be like, oh shit, get your ass together, girl. That guy and I. But that's where I was, and I needed to take time off. I needed to take time off.
Getting through that, like towards the end of it, maybe like what are some of the things that you did or learned that helped you like get through the rest of it?
Showing up and dressing up was one thing for me. The better I looked, like I felt I looked, I was able to like do that. I also had to ask my coworkers to stop asking me. I'm serious. I did have to have this conversation. Stop asking me how I am when I come in. Just let me get on my computer. Let me get started.
Yeah.
If you ask me how I am, I'm going to start crying. So let's just not go there.
You know, I had a conversation last year, and this was actually to do with layoffs. Someone knew that they were being laid off, but they still had like, I don't know, a month or 3 months left of work. And they asked me like, how do I politely tell my boss, stop asking me if I'm okay, if there's anything they can do? It's like, no, like there isn't. Like, I'll let you know if there is, but like you keep asking me, and that's actually contributing to me being upset. So that's a really important thing to learn, how to like navigate that and tell people. I think for me, managing was like, I had a colleague that I was good friends with, and I know myself and I do really well with challenges. And she gave me a challenge. She said, if you can go 1 week without communicating, calling, texting, anything with your ex, I have a present for you. I have a prize for you. And again, really motivated by like, okay, an external account. It's like, okay, now I have something to work for. Right? Like, I can do this. Did it. I should have worn those earrings. Oh my gosh. I'll have to put them on for another episode, but I still have them. I love them. They are wild and fantastic. But that really helped me.
I love that. And you saying that makes me think of another thing that I had to do. I was distracted by my phone and like the drama that was ongoing with it. And I had to sit my phone down like it is now, face down and not look at it.
Yeah.
I told Jared, like, if you see me on my phone, like, please tell me to stop.
Yeah.
Because half of the time on those days when I would end up finishing my day from home, because I looked at my phone and saw something that I shouldn't have opened at work, period, you know? And I had oversharing and just, whew.
Yeah.
So,
that is it. You know, I think it's harder if you don't have a trusted person at work that can help you. It's that much harder for sure. But I think I'm trying to think of like some other things that I did or would do that I learned.
One thing that I started doing, which like I was the type that would come in, get started on my, like I would skip lunch to work because I had so much to do, and that's who I was. During that time, I actually started taking my coworkers up on going to lunch with them. And that helped so much. Just getting out of the office, you don't realize, because you're like, or me especially, like, no, I just need to be here, like, don't. But it helped me so much. And also grew those friendships. Like, those are friends for life that I'm going to have.
Yeah.
So,
I love that. I definitely think, though, even if you don't have the work friends, you can still apply some of these same techniques with friends that can hold you accountable in different ways. But I still think it's possible. Very true. Let's talk a little bit about impact or not, like what happened because of this. Like, did we have any repercussions on the job from this? I did not. I did not. It was my first. I was also new on the job, but I was able to, I don't know how long the like really rough period was, but then I was able to kind of like pull it together and, you know, again, like focus on the work. And that was my coping mechanism. So I don't know of any like consequences from that.
I did face consequences from oversharing with my boss. I feel like we've discussed this before. Anyways, I'll let you say what needs to be said on that. But lesson learned. I definitely dealt with, and it was, you know, my performance. I noticed a difference in my performance. I was being told that a difference wasn't being seen. And shoot, I lost my train of thought with that. But I also like thought I had a friend in my boss as well, and definitely allowed myself to be more transparent than I could have been. My emotions.
Yay. That is, never a good idea, because it ended up being like weaponized against you at a later date. So that's why I will say, like, I did not share my personal situation with my boss or anyone that was like higher up than me. Now, if they shared that I was going through a breakup, okay, like I wasn't worried, but I did not do that. I shared with my peers because I needed to have somebody. But that may also be why I didn't have consequences, because nobody could point to that and be like, oh, that's why whatever happened. Yeah, and I would always choose to not share that. It's hard though sometimes to, like, especially you're going through a divorce or you're going through whatever, and it's like, how do I not tell people because I have to go deal with certain things? So it's not always possible to not share.
Yeah, I think I get caught up in the fact that my stories just end up being so outrageous. But yeah.
Yeah, and it's like the same reason that people want to listen. They're like, oh yes, tell me about this.
That's exactly why I shouldn't.
Yes, because then they are like saving that as a little nugget that could be thrown back at you. Yeah, we don't need that. You don't need that.
Nobody
Don't do that.
Nobody needs that.
Let's take a break. I think let's talk about this in 2 parts.
Okay.
Because this is a lot. And I think this is a good starting point. Like, if you have questions about this, we hope that you will share them with us. Tell us what you have done or not done that was a good or bad idea with dealing with emotions at the workplace. But okay, now you've got the juice. Time to put it to use and mend that broken heart.